It was really good. It was very well organised. Yeah, it was an interesting opportunity actually to get some real first-hand commentary from the potential MPs.
And did you get a chance to ask any questions?
I did ask, well, I didn't ask a question, but I put my hand up and made a comment in relation to some of the questions, one of the questions that was asked in relation. It was in relation to education, and I pointed out that one of the candidates was really quite deluded in his answer because it wasn't a realistic answer.
And which candidate?
Unfortunately, it was Carl McCartney who sort of made a very flippant response to the problems in education and seemed to have no perspective whatsoever on the reality, because the reality is, similar to the NHS, it is seriously crumbling.
So my question was about cuts to children's services and how that's affecting young people, particularly in relation to safeguarding issues. I think teachers across Lincoln are raising some quite serious safeguarding issues, and quite often we're told that the issues we're raising don't meet threshold, and I think that's causing a lot of stress to teachers, but more importantly it's massively affecting the lives of young children, and we're having conversations prior to that about things like homelessness, drug abuse. The situation is going to get worse if children are brought up in homes that are unsuitable, but at the same time, if there's no support there for parents, things like Sure Start centres being closed, that's going to make the situation worse as well for parents who really do want to change and want to have a big improvement. And I've got to say, the majority of the parents I work with are absolutely fantastic, but it's those children who are forgotten about by the government who I'm really worried about.
I was disappointed in some of the candidates, particularly Carl McCartney. He just kept going on about what he's done in the past. I wanted to know what he's going to do in the future. Doesn't matter what he's done in the past now, we need to move forward, and I wanted to know more from him, but he just wasn't giving us any answers. Yeah, it was interesting. I didn't so much say a question, more a comment that our mental health services need support, that the homeless need to be supported, that people need to be treated as individuals, as people, need to be listened to, and that as a politician, as somebody in the NHS, anybody, we need to be listening to the people around us, not just telling them what we think they need. We need to be asking them.
My question was, how are the candidates going to tackle the increasing numbers of homeless on the streets of Lincoln, mainly due to drug abuse and the effect it's having on our streets?
What did you think about the responses that you got recently?
Quite good responses, really. Obviously, we discussed, a lot of the people on the streets probably have mental health issues. Obviously, drug abuse does come into it as well. Karen's obviously been working on setting up groups, and obviously there are places where people can go for help. Carl obviously mentioned similar things as well. So I think the response from the candidates was quite positive in that they are really keen to help these people and obviously improve the quality of the streets of Lincoln, really make it a lovely place to be, which it is.
I kind of wanted to just sit there kind of quietly and just take in all the different questions that are being asked, but also kind of see the reactions of the different members of, people who are kind of being the candidates here, because you can often see from the reactions of their faces and how they put forward things what they really believe about the topics, and it's really insightful just to kind of sit back and spectate.
And do you think there was a clear winner this evening from the candidates?
Yeah, I think there's an absolute clear winner. It's kind of obvious looking back who it was from this thing. I'll let everyone else decide when they're at home kind of watching the video, but for me there was an obvious clear winner. And for me it's the way that the candidates are conducting themselves when it comes to these interviews. It's, how kind of like out there are they? Are they responding well? Are they responding clearly? Do they have a real belief and vision? And if you can see that, you can really always see a winner.
It was interesting, yes. It's always interesting to hear candidates speak in their own words, present what they're particularly passionate about. But in terms of kind of the election, I think rather than clarifying who I might vote for, it's actually confused things further.
Do you think there was a clear winner from tonight and stood out for you?
Not particularly. I thought Karen Lee did well for Labour, and I think she's seems to be a very committed, very honest person, but her party have a proven track record of being as dishonest as all the other people in Westminster, and nothing I saw today convinced me that any party intends to address quite how lowbrow politics has become with the lying and the backbiting and the personal attacks on each other.
I think that Karen said more about the social justice side of working with young people, and I think she was absolutely right that we need both jobs for them to be going into and but also to address some of the immediate things as well. I wonder if, because Carl went second, he maybe didn't want to repeat like some of the stuff that had been said. He said a bit less, but he seemed very keen to meet face to face with groups of young people, and absolutely right for him to say that it's inspiring and eye-opening to meet with young people, because they do say some of the most interesting things. And Caroline as well, talking about some of the social injustices that are going on, and I do think it is a social injustice that 24% of young people in Lincoln are growing up in poverty, and I really think that something needs to be done about that.
The debate was very interesting. 2 words: elocution lessons. I think some of the candidates would go far to take some. Otherwise, it's just the same as what we've seen day in, day out on the television, but on a stage. You might as well have put music to it, sold the tickets to it, made it a musical. It's the same bickering. Was it Rob Bradley who was the independent fella? Big fan of that. Big fan of everything he was about, because he, well, firstly just seemed like just a bit of a bloke, but really came off with some good points, to be fair. The only person that seemed to actually be answering questions as well. So, yeah, big up Rob Bradley for the evening.
And did you get a chance to ask any questions?
I didn't. I specifically asked not to, mainly because it's the genuine disillusionment that you feel like no matter what you ask or what you say, it isn't going to get answered anyway. And that has pretty much been the case in my eyes through the entire evening.
So did any responses stand out for you this evening?
To tell you the truth, no. Again, it's all going back to, as I say, what we're seeing on our television screens. Oh, it's going to be this amount of nurses. No, it's not. It's going to be that amount of nurses. But you're saying we're retaining that. And it just goes on and on. So, no, I'm no clearer.